Our SABC News reporter Natasha Phiri joins us now live from the convention with the very latest. Natasha, a very good afternoon to you. So another eventful day of proceedings out at the second day of the National Convention. Talk to us about the latest. We've seen the youth there calling for quality basic education as well as employment. They're saying it's simple as that.
Definitely, Alicia, and those are one of the many issues that were raised here. Quality education, decolonialized education, the issue of the poorest borders also reared its ugly head here amongst the discussion, economic injustice and so much more. But Alicia, I just want to draw your attention to something that I think Sandra also mentioned in her upsound, and this is something that we engage other political parties on. The deputy president getting up, or the acting president, I beg your pardon, getting up while plenary is still in session. Of course, we heard a speaker there who was not happy about it, saying that the minute he addressed the issue of corruption, he so got up and actually left. But earlier on, we heard other political parties, Rato Ngobeni of Action SA, who's actually observing the proceedings, saying that, remember, he is the acting president, Paul Mashatile is the acting president, and therefore he had to go address a group of Khoi and San leaders. But let's just hear the story from the spokesperson himself, Mr. Keith Khoza, on the very issue. Mr. Khoza, thank you so much for joining us in SABC News. I think, some civil society organizations were not so happy with the acting president leaving. Some had questioned his timing, but let's just hear it from you. What actually happened?
Well, the acting president was called by the convention organizers at that time, when the speaker was on the floor, that there is a group of Khoi and San people that are complaining about being excluded, and they are requesting the acting president to deal with that matter. So together with the Minister of Culture, went outside to meet with them and understand their concerns. Remember, the acting president, in his capacity as deputy president, he leads an interministerial committee that deals with traditional leaders and Khoi and San's rural development and so on. So it's a matter that is facing him directly. So he had to go and intervene and understand what were the issues and advise them how to go about their concerns. And he immediately came back. So he was not avoiding any discussion. He was called outside to go and intervene.
And the very same grouping had actually staged a protest outside yesterday because they believed that they were excluded from the process. But we do understand that there was another grouping of Khoi and San leaders that were inside. Can you just please let us know what discussions actually took place between the acting president and this Khoi and San group?
Well, their primary concern was that they were promised that they will address the plenary yesterday by the convention organizers. But the issue was that not everybody is allowed to address the plenary because it was not yet the platform for formations to address plenary. It was a platform to set the process into motion. But also you would understand we also had not more than one organization representing Khoi and San people, and the others were saying, no, if these ones are given the platform to speak, we also want to speak. So nobody was allowed to speak. We know there were bishops here who could have requested to speak, but they did not do so because they knew that this was the launch of a process, a long and protracted process of dialoguing. So we then, the DP advised them that there will be, if they have a way of putting together their concern, they should do so and give it to convention organizers, and then it will be tabled for discussion.
You also, as the spokesperson of the acting president, you've heard the various contentious issues inside, from various civil society organizations, raising the same issue time and time again, but also saying that as government, you are tone deaf. You don't listen to the needs of the people. You know what those issues are, but it seems as if you're taking, it lacks political will to actually implement, solutions to these issues that they are raising. What is your response to that?
Well, government is trying to implement all its policies, and we have said it over and over again that we have challenges that relate to resources. If you look at the budget, we don't have the budget for everything at once. So when you have that budget, you have to cut it thin and spread it across the various areas where government must.
Yet the argument is that you don't have the budget to implement certain things, but yet there is a budget to actually deal with the national dialogue, and these are issues that we already know.
Well, national dialogue is important for the country and to take the country forward. Remember, the issues about the national dialogue is to look at what is not working in South Africa, what is it that people want to see happening on the ground, and what should be the priorities going forward. So you can't walk away from that, because we speak about a people-centered government. A dialogue is bringing people at the center of governance for people to express views, frustrations, and things they are not happy with. So it is unavoidable. So we have to find a way of dealing with it, and that's why in its approach, the Planning Committee for the Dialogue has emphasized more than government's contribution in the event itself. As we are here today at UNISA, the Planning Committee didn't pay a cent, because UNISA donated the venue, the facilities, and everything that goes with it. So we are going to emphasize that where it's possible, we need to find contribution in kind, as opposed to spending government money.
Mr. Khoza, thank you so much for your time. Let me just bring in somebody who is no stranger to us, a former trade union leader who sits on the EPG, the Eminent Persons Group. Mr. Nchali, thank you so much for joining us in SABC News. I think first and foremost, you know what's happening in the Northwest. You're a former trade union leader. It's 13 years since the Marikana massacre. Do you think that those issues are still ventilated perhaps here at the National Convention?
No, I haven't had. I had it in passing, people raising those issues in passing. Remember, there was no real substantive discussion on these issues. People are just raising the issues that they feel they have not been addressed. So in that context, the issue of Marikana came in passing, because people were not ventilating those issues. So like other killings, abuse of women, gender-based violence, robberies, and all those things. So they came in passing. People are trying to, I think for me, is that people are hurt. People want to ventilate first what is troubling them, which is good in dealing with those issues. And they try to heal and say these are the issues that we are facing, and soberly they then have to discuss how those issues should be addressed.
And we also understand, we heard one of the speakers also announcing that, the steering committee will not be selected today. It will be selected in the next 2 weeks. Various sectors still have to select who they think could actually represent, their best interests, their best needs. Just talk us through that process, perhaps.
Look, the intention was that by the end of today, we'll have the steering committees. But the steering committee seems to be a contested areas. Everybody wants to come to the table. So even definition of the sectors, you can say some of the sectors are overlapping. And the purpose is clear. People don't trust each other. They want to represent themselves in here, which is not possible in dealing with those issues. So I think in the leadership wisdom was that allow people to have that debate and discussion. And apparently there's going to be some dispute. Because if you want one person from these 9 provinces to be representing particular sectors, there will be regionalism, there will be going to be ethical kind of thing, the demographics and all, they are going to blame them out. So it is understandable today that we are not going to go there. But also there are another misconception that we're coming quite clear. People think there will be a lot of money in dealing with this particular issue. So if I'm the organizer and I'm the leader of these things, there will be some kind of compensation coming up. And when the announcement was later made, please, you are going to do it at your own cost, and you are going to volunteer doing this thing. I think people were a little bit disappointed. I think they were just deflated and said, why is there 700 million rand going to do if we're not going to be paid for that?
And let's talk about the very issue, the misconception that there's this huge chunk of money. I think for me it just boggles the mind and just baffles me that did people really come here genuinely so to discuss a national convention, or did they come because of the money?
It may be a combination of many. The intention of the organizers of the convention is something different. The understanding and the perception of people on the ground may be different in terms of those issues. So it's going to play it out as we set it up, the terms of reference, and people going to the ground and all the kind of stuff. Because other people may have thought you are going to get money, you are going to be hiring halls and all those things. The announcement here is that no, we're not going to be hiring halls. Go to schools, go to church and doing those kind of stuff. Allow people on their own to say what contribution I'm going to make. That in itself needed to be internalized by people who are here and to say how they understand this process is moving forward.
Mr. Jali, thank you so much for clarifying those very issues with us. Of course, Alicia, a lot of clarification here. We first heard from the acting president's spokesperson, Mr. Keith Khoza, saying that the acting president, Paul Mashatile, did not abandon the talks here. Instead, he had gone or went to go engage those Khoi and San leaders. Remember, there was a grouping outside that actually protested yesterday of Khoi and San leaders who felt excluded from the process. He went to go address them with the Minister of COGTA, Mr. Velenkosi. We also hear the former trade union leader, Mr. Begin Chalinchali, also clarifying matters, saying that the steering committee that was supposed to be elected today will be elected in the next 2 weeks, but also clarifying the contentious issue of money, that going back when this dialogue or the various issues that need to be discussed at a ward level, when they go back to the communities, there is no money that will be, given out, Alicia. But instead, if it goes to the communities, various volunteers need to ensure that these conversations actually happen in churches, in salons, and there is no money, like he said, that will be given out to the various organizers. So just also clarifying that misconception that is out there.